So how do you start a custom base? Well, there's probably a million ways to do it. You can find a base you like and modify it, but I just wanted to go all in and go straight custom. So I know I want my clan castle to be my middle building, so I drop that in the center. And around that, I'm going to do my air defense. So the first thing you want to do is decide your air defense positions. So like I said, you want to triangulate them. So there's two ways you can triangulate. You could either triangulate so that there are two sides, line them up so that there's two even sides, and then the dragons would either come in from the southeast or the southwest. What I like to do is make that decision for them. So instead of doing that, I'll do this. So now only the southwest only the southwest is the side closest to a pair of air defenses. So if that's the metric, which is the commonly spouted one for how to do a dragloon attack, if that's the metric that they're going by, the attackers will attack from the southwest. Now what I'm tweaking is I'm tweaking their relative position. I want each one to barely cover the other two. I do want them to be able to fire on each other. There's a lot of debate as to how close or far away they should be. I like them to be just barely covering each other. You can go a little farther if you want. We're going to be making a pretty big open base, so maybe even making them a little farther apart has some benefits. But this has worked for me, so feel free to experiment. The purpose of this video series isn't for you guys to make this base. It's for me to walk you through the decision-making process so that everyone can make a unique, effective war base that follows smart strategies. So the next thing we want to do is protect the side that we think the attack is going to come from. So the smart attacker would come from the southwest. So we put our two highest horsepower, or I keep calling it horsepower, our highest hit point buildings in the southwest. Next, we want to surround the air defenses. What you're trying to do here is put something in the path of the dragons for them to get hung up on before they get to your air defense. A consideration is if you can have the dragons themselves not path to the air defense, that's great. So like on this one, if you can make all of the gold storages or all of the storages closer to each other than the air defense is, so that dragons would go from storage to storage rather than from storage to air defense, that's going to benefit you. That's hard to do, and with all the other factors we're balancing, I'd say that one is probably one of the lesser important ones, but it's certainly something that you need to consider. I wouldn't tuck them, straight onto it, because then there's a chance that after they get through one storage, they're just going to go straight in. But just get them in a position you kind of like. The thing about this is you have to be really fluid. You're going to move everything several times, so don't get too attached to any particular layout or building location. Good war bases are extremely ugly. So let's see here. Air pusher. I don't really know how to effectively deal with an air pusher. As we talked about, I don't want to put it in the middle again, because then it can act as a bridge between air defenses. So what I'm thinking is most effective is probably use it on the air defense I know is going to come under attack first, and I know the direction, because it's very hard for an attacker to resist a relatively exposed town hall. So I'm pretty confident they're coming in there with a lot of dragons, and that seems like the most likely way to slow them down. So there is the initial core of your anti-dragloon components. I'm just kind of fidgeting with those storages. We'll try it there, but we'll end up moving them all over the place. The next thing you want to do is do your anti-loon ring. So don't worry too much about which defenses are where at this point. Just start, excuse me, start dropping your defenses out. Just kind of put them in a ring, get them all out there. I'm probably not going to leave these all cannons. I might actually leave these all archer towers though. Be aware, I mean not at this stage because you're still going to move everything around, but in my experience, the archer towers are the different. Good archer tower placement is the difference between a 2-star and a 3-star dragloon a lot of times, and that's when I'm attacking. When I'm attacking a base, if I don't account for the fact that these archer towers actually do a really decent amount of damage, I can end up with a 96% or a 95% because by the time the dragons make it through the core of a base, they're pretty beat up, and you don't want them to spend too much time in range of an archer tower. But for now, we'll look at that at the end. For now, let's just get these defenses positioned so that there's always a defense closer, another defense closer to, than the air defense. So these can actually come in. These can come in a bit. It doesn't really matter if they're close to your storages, so they can get adjacent there. We're going to move everything around when we start making walls. This is probably a really chaotic seeming way to make a base, but what we really want to do is make a base that honestly is pretty chaotic because it's going to be harder and harder to attack if you don't understand it immediately, or it doesn't make that much sense. So let's see. So here's the distance from the archer tower to loon. So that's about the distance I want to make sure I have for all of the defenses around. But what I do want is I want one defense to be closer. So let me tweak this because I need, oh no, I was using Teslas for that. I forgot. I tried to get cute with Teslas so that a Tesla would pop if an air defense was triggered, but several times it kind of backfired, and I had a Tesla that the only reason stuff went onto an air defense was the fact that the Tesla popped. So that's not ideal. What I'm trying to do now is figure out a way. I want this. So this is a one building space from the air defense, which is much closer than any of the other air defenses are. So what I'm hoping is it will go, you know, if heaven forbid loons get in here and get on that air defense, and the other two are still up, the loons will path out to this archer tower instead of pathing to another air defense. So that's really what I'm trying to figure out here. I'm going to mess with this. You guys don't need to watch me tweak everything, and I will stop the video now and start the video again when I have a layout that I'm happy with.